Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Hit that subscribe button. You can like, comment, share, whatever you like to do. Yeah, I just wanted to pop in here because today was not your regular work week day. I woke up this morning and I have been kind of tossing and turning a little bit through the night, and so I just wasn't really feeling up to going to work, just because of, just feeling a little tired and the tossing and the turning. And then, like I said in the video yesterday that I posted, I just kind of was cold all day at work and had a couple little sneezes and sniffles, and so I'm like, okay, you know what, I need a self-care day. Then I was like, okay, so today is my mother's birthday, and then the tossing and the turning thing, I was like, well, maybe, it's all related, and I need to make my self-care day revolving around, my grief and loss process. I think that you never really fully get over the death of a loved one, and by me and my brothers losing our mother and our father, sometimes it can just be a little bit difficult. And so what I've noticed is that sometimes my body is just attuned to it, emotionally, psychologically, and so it'll just tell me when it's time to reflect and dedicate some time to just remembering and moving from that higher state, moving to a higher state of remembering and not forgetting, versus being in an acute or a complicated grief state, and that missing part. Of course, we miss our loved ones when they leave us, but then there is a part of that missing that can keep you in a lower self state, and it contributes to being in that grief and loss process that makes it more complicated to deal and manage with the loss. So yeah, I usually just take some time to dedicate some time to remembering and choosing never to forget, of course. And so yeah, I took the day off. So that's a part of my self-care. I think when we are out here in the world and we have our daily lives, our jobs, our families, if we don't take a little bit of time for ourselves to just like unwind, reflect, chill out, whatever we choose to do, then we can get like caught up in just being stressed out and not understanding why, like what's going on with my body, what's going on with my mind, and then you look up and you really haven't dedicated any time to yourself, and that's important. So like I said, today is dedication time to myself, but in remembrance of my mother and not forgetting. So yeah, I do miss my mother. I can't, I can't not say that. But then again, with that missing missing her state rather, I just don't want to, or don't allow myself to go into a deep grief state with the missing. I acknowledge it, and then I move on and try my best to remember the good times. So yeah, I loved my mother. I love my mother still, of course. It's mama. And we actually refer to our mom as mommy, especially amongst the three of us. That's mommy. She'll always be mommy. Yeah, so yeah, that's just what it is. So then, you know, it was times where me and my mother didn't have like the best relationship, but needless to say, I love her. I took care of my mom. Even when I was a little girl, I took care of my mom. And especially after her and my dad separated, and then, you know, she really relied on me and needed my help, and I had to be every bit of about like 10 or 11, and just, you know, helped out where I can at home and with my brothers, and a lot of responsibility was on me to take care of my brothers. And my mom, she was really hard on me, and some of it was like could have been considered a traumatic experience. And so, but needless to say, I still did what I needed to do to help her, because it was about, you know, being as obedient as I could have been. And my glasses are picking up this sun. I don't want to, well, my vision is kind of blurry. No, it's just too dark. Transition lenses. But anyway, so yeah, and then a little while later, after my mom and dad separated, then I also took care of her in this emotional state. You know, I had to help take care of her when my grandmother, her mother, passed away. When my grandmother died, my grandmother died on my birthday. And so yeah, my mom she just went through a thing with those losses, and not to mention probably having other losses, you know, in her life that she considered losses. And so a lot of that she kind of, you know, took out on me, and being the oldest and things of that nature. But nonetheless, I still counted all joy. It shaped and made me who I am today. And we had talks even before she passed away where, you know, unlike in prior years, we would have talks and she would kind of like minimize, or I don't know, make a choice to not remember the things that we went through as a mother-daughter relationship. But then, you know, when later on, when she was actually like in the dying process, we had a different kind of conversation, because it was more about acknowledging, and she really did, you know, acknowledge some of that she went through, and that's what helped build my empathy wings for her and her experience. And my heart always really went out to her and her experience. Not to mention, once I became a parent, I had to charge a lot of it to the game of, you know, she was young and didn't have it easy in life, you know. She had her own story, and so knowing what I know now about her story, again, made me have more of an empathy for her and what her experience was in life, despite whatever challenges that we had as a mother and a daughter. I tried my best to take care of her as best I could, even when I knew there were times that she could have been, you know, made a healthier decision. And, you know, as being my mother, I was her only daughter. And so, but we didn't have that growing up. I would have liked to have had it. I looked at a lot of relationships, mother-daughter relationships, and I would have liked to have had that. I didn't have that. And, but needless to say, you know, there were a lot of things that she did give me. And I told her this even when she was dying, you know, like, Ma, at the end of the day, if nothing else, you gave us life and you taught us about Jesus. You gave us life and you gave us Jesus. And so the rest of that is on us. Life begins to be on you. Now, granted, when we were children and when a parent is responsible for their children, and they don't do the best that they can, then, you know, you have to look at that in a way that allows you to move into forgiveness and getting over and trying to move on. Because if you look at it through a certain lenses, then you set up like bitterness and anger. And for a long time I was in that space. I really was, because I didn't understand why I was being treated the way that I was being treated, why I felt like, you know, she didn't love me. You know, she would say that she did, but then it would be this, I'm doing this out of love, and discipline you this way out of love, and and so I just didn't understand. Even when my grandmother passed away, some way, somehow, that it was this connection between my birthday and her losing her mother, and the way that she treated me, especially around my birthday. It hardly ever was celebrated, and sometimes I still struggle with that a little bit. And so, not to mention, it was, you know, my birthday is in a cold month, and here in Michigan it's freezing in February, and so yeah, it was more or less like, okay, it's a cold day, my mama died on that day, and yes, no reason to celebrate. And so when I internalized that myself, I internalized that too, and I didn't feel like I had a reason to celebrate, so I didn't for years. And then eventually, you know, as time went on and went by, I found, you know, reason to celebrate, but it was always minimal. I think I always wanted a summer birthday party, even though my birthday is in February. So when I turned, I think it was 40, that summer, I had a summer party, which was a like fiesta kind of thing, Mexican themed and everything, all the food, everything. It was really fun. And so I was just like, I do have a reason to celebrate my birthday. My 13th birthday, my grandmother actually gave me cake and ice cream, and once I got older, I reflected on that. I was like, well, she would have wanted me to celebrate my birthday. She had actually given me my last party before she died, but by the time my 14th birthday came around, when she died on my birthday, I just internalized that in such a way that I was like, I'm never celebrating my birthday. You know, it was absolute on the wrong end of the spectrum. And then my 15th birthday, my auntie gave me a party and celebrated, cake and ice cream kind of a thing. Not a party, but cake and ice cream. And so, but needless to say, I have a reflection of my mother and a regard for her that's different, of course, now that she is gone, because she's not here. And all of the challenges and all of the differences, you end up like, it ends up being like water under the bridge, because that person's no longer here, and whatever the challenges were, or despite any challenges, it's like, okay, now what do I do now? Who do I hold, you know, in account for these actions? Or how do I become and move out of a state of bitterness or unforgiveness? How do I move on past that? You know, how do I, it's no reason to be in that state, because that person is no longer here, and it makes you feel a certain kind of way to still be in that state. For me anyway, with my experience, to be in that state, and my mother was no longer here, so it wasn't the kindest thing to be in that space. Yeah, so I'm kind of rambling here a little bit, and actually too being selective about what I choose to share, because I don't want it to seem like my mom was like the worst person in the world. She wasn't. But I know that she could have made different choices. But that's everybody. Could make different choices or decisions, especially in your parenting. And I'm sure my children can probably come up with reasons and things that I did and all kinds of stuff. And then when they become a parent, they'll have to learn how to count it all joy and charge it to the game too, because it's not easy being a parent. It is not easy being a parent. And I had to learn that with my mom, that it just wasn't easy, you know. And but yeah, so that's some of it. I'm just sitting here rambling and ranting, being in a state of remembrance and honoring my mother. My mother passed away from metastasized breast cancer, and so she has been gone for 5 years. And of course today is October 24th, and because I'm doing my Vlogtober experience and project, and it revolves around the fact that me getting out here on social media, I wanted to get that experience back going, because when she passed away, I disassociated, and a part of my grief and loss was for me to step away from social media platforms and kind of like be to myself and just go through my life experience without that. And so it's just kind of ironic that for Vlogtober it is her birthday. But yeah, like I said, I just been sitting here remembering her. I did pull out my project because I told you guys on Vlogtober, my first Vlogtober or second Vlogtober video, that I have a project that I've been working on for like ever, literally like 20 years. And so it's a cute little blanket that I've been crocheting forever. But I'm gonna make this blanket happen at some point. I think I find like a little bit of solace though, being able to pull this little blanket out and work on it whenever I get ready to. This pattern that I'm doing is the only pattern that I fully know, and I learned this. I used to work at a residential facility for girls, and this was crocheting was a coping skill for them. And so the ones who knew how to crochet taught the staff how to crochet, and they taught me how to do this one pattern. And one and it's real simple, and it's a different, like here is kind of, the holes are bigger, and then as they get tighter as I go all the way around. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing here, just remembering. Okay, so I'm back. But anyway, so I'm gonna work on my little blanket while I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, so it's just ironic that a part of my Vlogtober experience is it gets to include my mom, because her birthday is in this month. And I decided not to continue to be shy and away from social media platforms, but I like YouTube as a platform to share my life with, versus like Facebook or Twitter. I forgot that I had the Twitter account. I don't know how to work it at all, so I just don't even bother with it. The Facebook account, I shut it down when my mom was like, you know, going through the dying process. And when she was dying, I just, again, didn't want all of the hoopla. I only wanted support from certain people, and I want the support to be authentic and not just because somebody is trying to be the first person to share or overstepping a boundary in the process that I was personally going through, and coming to terms with it. And I get it. I understand support is support. However, you want that support to be authentic and not because, you know, for whatever reasons. I don't know why people do it, but people do it, and I'm aware of it. And for me, I just, like I said, watch my first Vlogtober video in that second one, because I explained all of this, so I'm not going to rehash it. However, I do want to say that I am proud of myself for being able to open up and share, and then have the understanding and learning that my experience of dissociating, I don't want to say that word, but choosing to step away from social media had a lot to do with the loss of my mother, you know, and making the choice to come back to a social media platform right now, and it being YouTube and me blogging, that I think that was a healthy decision for me. So yeah, that's where I am with that. I know I'm kind of rambling here, and like I said, this is always helpful for me to pick this blanket up and work on it. And the girls that I worked with before, they just taught us how to do this. Now, some people in my family, they are real good with this. I just am not, like, picking it up, starting it off, and so yeah, I can only do so much. I'm not really fast with it, and that's okay, because I don't want to make carpal tunnel kick in and mess my arm up. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just chilling out, reflecting, and remembering my mommy. Wow, that's different. You don't get to say that often, mommy and daddy, and that's what we called them. You don't get to say that. We don't get to say that anymore, really. But I was blessed to have my mother-in-law in my life through my husband. I was blessed with a mother-in-law and a father-in-law and grandmothers, but I didn't have grandmothers either. So I have grandmothers by marriage now that fills that space up to a degree. Yeah, so that's a good thing. Yeah. So this is what I'm working on right here. Hold on one second. Okay, so my tea. Cheers to my mama in heaven. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord up above now. So I'm grateful for that. Another thing that I'm grateful for in remembrance and being in a place of gratitude is being grateful that my mother at the time was able to meet my future husband. Yeah, so when I met my husband and we knew, you know, my mom was in the dying process, I kind of kept him, you know, not really on purpose or anything, but I was trying to tend to my mother and working like 2 jobs at the time and being a mom, of course. So it was a lot going on, But once I realized that my mom was actually, you know, like it was happening, I shared with her that I met with someone, and you should have saw her perk up. Like, I'm actually like braiding her hair and she just perk up. She had just went through like 2 or 3 minutes prior to that, just was in agony and pain. But as soon as I told her, you know, that I met somebody, and you know, but we were taking it slow because of what I was going through in my life. She just perked up and it was like talking to a girlfriend from way back in the day that you hadn't heard from in so long, and you just pick up like where you left off. And it was like, yeah, girl, so tell me, you know, she wanted to know. She got all in the business, and I just shared with her because, you know, again, because we had a certain kind of relationship, sometimes we didn't always get a chance to share those kind of moments. But I was telling her about my husband, and one thing I remember telling her was that he was from the South originally, and you know, his people, they from the South, and she was like, oh wow, you know, men from the South, they really have. And she just started describing my husband's character to a T. And I didn't even really fully know him like that, like, because I was like keeping him here, like I gotta do this, I got a lot going on. And so, well, actually, no, it had been a year since I graduated. It was a year after, around about a year or so. A year, not a year and a half. Let me see, before I mess up. It was going on a year. And so, from when I graduated. And so then I'm telling her everything. And so then she's like, she just described his character to a T. And now that I know him fully, it's amazing what she said about she talked in terms of being in general, but everything that she said in general was spot on to my husband's character. That's how I want to say it. And so, yeah. Let me see. Yep, that's how it went. So she was just one thing that she said, you know, they're family oriented, which my husband is, and she was like, you know, they typically we're northerners, okay? We from the north, women north. Typically they marry. They like to be married, you know, and have a family and everything. And so, and that's just a little bit of the conversation. Like, a lot, I won't open up too much about him and his personality and his character right now, but what we shared in that conversation, that's my husband. That is my husband. And so yeah, we got the chance to share that conversation, and that was when she was still at home. Now, and I still was keeping him kind of like at a distance to a degree. I would talk to him on the phone, and we went, you know, out a couple times. But when I realized like she's in hospice, and we, you know, I don't know what could happen, or how soon, or how not soon. I was like, okay, I, you know, want him, and the Lord put it on my heart. I wanted him to meet my mother. And so I called him and I told him, you know, I wanted him to meet my mother. And he probably was like, well, it's about time. I don't know. But I wanted him to meet my mom. And so we went to, he came and picked me up because I was already going, so we just decided to ride together. So he came and picked me up, and we went to see my mom. So I had him kind of like wait in the waiting area to get her together and prepared and everything, make sure she was all right, so we weren't just, you know, walking in to any old, like, we want to preserve her dignity, and we just wanted to give her, you know, that I always gave that to my mother, just make sure she was okay. So he waited in the waiting room to see her with his flower, because we stopped at like the gift shop, and he got her a flower, like an orange rose, or like a blush tangerine color, peachy color rose. And then once I got her together, or she wanted me to like clean off her little tray and straighten up the bottom of her bed and fix her hair, then I went and got him from the waiting area. And so it was like they had always knew each other and everything, and we just had a really nice long conversation. And with him meeting my mother just that one and only time, it just really made an impact on my heart towards him. And when I would, you know, go through the motions and I would cry, he would, even before, you know, it's just hard to see my mom in that state. And so he would like kiss my eyes and say, give me those tears, those are my tears, and I got your back and I'm here for you, kind of a thing. And just very like right on time, right? Like God always know what you need and who you need, and he never ever fails, and he is right on time. Like he blessed me with my husband and blessed my husband to find me just right on time. It really was just like a blessing. And so, but anyway, they had like a really nice conversation, and we laughed and shared some things, and they hugged before we got ready to go. And I could tell he seemed a little bit like, you know, because my mom was tiny. She got really kind of tiny and fragile, and like I just gave him the eye, like, you know, it's okay, you know. And so they just gave each other a hug, and it was so natural. And so yeah, that's kind of how that went. And to this day I cherish that moment and those memories in that conversation that the three of us had. And then it was a point in the conversation where it seemed like maybe I wasn't in the room, but I was right there. I was sitting right there, but they were just talking to each other, and it was their conversation. And that was, it was really cool to see. And one thing was, like, the morning that my mother passed away, I have a picture with me and my brothers and our mom, and we laid that rose that my husband gave her on her body. We just laid it on her and in her Bible. And I think one of my cousins like took a picture of us, and so when I do look at that picture, it's like my husband was there, you know, even through that rose, he was there. Like, it was me, my two brothers, and this rose, which was, you know, represented my husband. I have that picture. I may insert it. I might have to blur it out or whatever, but I probably will insert that. But it just seemed so poignant because he was there, you know, he was a part of it. Even for that little bit of time, he was there. And so in moving on and moving forward in my life, you know, with that conversation that they had, it just was very, when I think about it, reminiscent of what a mother-in-law would have with a son-in-law, even for a brief moment. And so, but yeah, he did get to meet my mom and talk to her and sit with her and just enjoy each other's company, even for that brief moment. It was just that one time. And then my mom passed away like maybe 4 days later. She like was slowing down and, you know, stopped eating, stopped talking. She had stopped talking, and then just slowed down. But when I called him to tell him that she had transitioned, he really couldn't believe it. And it was kind of like disbelief, because I know, like, I have voicemails from around that time, and her voice sounds strong. It was just the body was, you know, breaking down. But the conversation and how strong, she didn't sound weak. She sounded just like how I'm talking to you now. And their conversation was like really, really sweet to see and to experience, being that that was the only time that he got a chance to meet her. So yeah, I'm grateful for that, because just that little brief moment in time, I don't know how I would be with him had he not experienced her. He already had not had a chance to meet my father, and I noticed he'll ask me questions about my dad more than he will about my mom, and I just believe that's because he got a chance to meet her, and he got a chance to be in her presence and experience her and have that conversation with her, and, you know, just a memory, you know, just some memories with her. But he didn't get a chance to have that with my dad, because of course my dad was already gone. And so he'll say, well, do you think that he would have liked me? And I'm like, my daddy was, yes, he would have. He was easy like Sunday morning and cool breeze, and both of my brothers have a lot of him in them. So how they are with you, and my brothers love my husband, how they are with you, that's how my daddy would have been, or if not more. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm just sitting here remembering my mom and enjoying my own self-care day. I'm about to mess up. I should, you know what I really should do with this blanket though? I really should probably just end it here and call it quits. I'm done. Call it I'm done. But I wanted it to be like a throw. It's pretty much a throw. I wanted it to be, actually no, I wanted it to cover like a queen size bed. This was taking me so long, okay? But I don't think it's really happening like that. I don't think it's gonna turn into that. So it might just end up being a throw. But I promise you, I've been working on this since 2002. 2002? 12. Just to be sure. You can never just rely on my brain for math. Hold up. No. Okay. So yeah. I'm a words girl. Okay. Not a math girl. But anyway, so yeah, about 17, probably going on 18 years. Oh well, whatever. I pull it out for my self-care. Okay. That's what I do. And I enjoy when I work on it. So maybe I shouldn't give up on it and say it's done. I wouldn't even know how to end this thing. I'm gonna call one of my cousins that's real good with this and ask her, how would I end it? How would I even end it? What do you do? What do you do to end it? Do you just like stop here and cut it, and oh, that could be how you do it, and then just cut it, and then but what would happen with this? Is supposed to be a row here, right? A row here, and then what would happen to the rest of this row? I don't know. Okay, so that's confusing, but that's probably why I haven't quit on it and gave it up and just said, oh, it's a complete project. It's a complete blanket. It's not. It's not. It might not ever really fully be complete because I don't know how to end it. I probably would like to be done with it, but whatever. So yeah, moving on. But yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better than I did earlier. I wasn't like emotionally, you know, feeling any kind of way. It was just the tossing and the turning and all that kind of a thing. Had a lot of water yesterday, so that had me up. And then I'm no good to anybody because I did want to reserve for just in case if I do have any moments. And today I did have a brief moment where I got a little bit emotional when I was remembering my mom. And so when you're at work, you don't want to have those experiences at work with your, you know, with your professional cloak on. You want to do that at home if you have a moment. Not that, now my coworkers are very supportive. This is one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life because of the level of support and just, I love my job. I love what I do. And so it's not about that at all. They would have supported me. I just, again, you know how I am. I told you guys that, watch that video and pay attention to this one. I just prefer to be a little bit more private about these things, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yep. So it is what it is. So later, when my husband gets home from work, see, now I messed up. Okay, hold on. This is what happens. Turn this around as you. Oh, I'm getting to a corner. See, I always kind of mess up a little bit as I'm getting to a corner. And 2 years ago, I'll come back to tell you when my husband gets off work. But 2 years ago, I did buy a new crochet hook. I ended up hating this thing here. Let me show you what it looks like. And I got this from Michael's or somewhere, I think it was. And it's called a rosewood crochet hook. And it's 6 millimeters. And the one that I'm using is a J. Oh, this must be a J too. Both of them, excuse me. Both of them are J. This one is 6 millimeters. So I must have looked at this one and got the same one. But anyway, so yeah. This is the one I'm using here. Yep. So, and then this one here. So I ended up preferring to use turquoise one. This one, I like this one better than the wood one. It kept snagging. It wasn't like a seamless flow kind of a thing. It was getting on my nerves. So I went back to using this one. This one to me makes my, it's this, I don't know, it's some kind of sensory feeling. I have a better grip with this one. And this one, to me, your hand kind of like sweats a little bit or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I like the hold and feel of this one. But this one, when it's going through the yarn, is seamless. This one kept snagging and I was having to work with it too much. No, we're not doing that, because in order for me to really work with it, sometimes you want to like move fast, as fast as you can go, and this is me going as fast as I can go here, right? So but that wood one, it didn't do too hot. And I'm not the greatest at this at all. What they say, Jackie of all trades, master of none. I can do a little bit of a lot, but then some things I just say, you know what? Let me stay in my lane. That's not my lane. And I stay in my lane. So, yeah. But thank you guys for listening and watching and being a part of my internet family. And that's a little bit about me. If anybody out there, though, is experiencing like grief and loss and going through like even acute, but especially complicated grief, reach out. There are places that you can, you know, reach out to and go like to sessions and enjoy community with other people who have experienced the grief and loss process. I know for hospice, where my mom was, they reached out to us and asked if we wanted any supportive services. And at the time I declined, pretty much because I think I had a handle. I thought at that time I had a handle on that whole thing. And I think I still do well, you know, with it. But yeah, there are like grief and loss. Like here in Michigan, there's like sand castles and then Elle's Place. And that's like for children and families who just want to have that outlet to be able to talk about grief and loss. In my program, sometimes I'll give out information. I placed an order from Sesame Street, and they have grief and loss, like a booklet and a CD about how to talk to children about dying and death and dying and that process. It's a part of life's process. And so Sesame Street has a really good book and some information. And it's even online. They're called, it's called a grief and loss toolkit. But then they have other topics too, like how to talk to children about incarceration and healthy eating and what helping hands and H is for helping or something like that. But there are a lot of different topics that are in that toolkit, and grief and loss is one of them. And they just do a really good job of explaining to parents how to manage grief with your child or children, how to talk about it. And even for parents who might need that for themselves, it's just a beginning way of dealing with grief, even from a lower level, even from that developmental level. So yeah. So look what I got. Actually, it's not for me. It is for my mama, my mommy. So my husband brought her a pretty flower. It's like orchids. So that's really nice. That's sweet. I was just telling you guys a little while ago that one of her last flowers or roses that she received was from her future son-in-law while she was alive. And yeah, so he brought her home another cute little flower. This is in memory of my mother. Now, right after she passed away, he also bought a tiger lily. So yeah, but he's so thoughtful. Yep, to his mother-in-law. So yeah, I thought that was really cute. It's really pretty. So he's gonna help me keep it alive because I don't have a green thumb. So yeah, I thought that was really neat and cute. What a nice son-in-law. Cute. Yeah, so I just wanted to check in and show this to you guys. Yep, so she's here with us in spirit and in our hearts. All right, talk to you in a bit. I'm just vlogging life. This is Carla. Bye, guys.
Hey, caller, this is Mommy. Give me a call when you get this message. Bye-bye. Hey, caller, this is Mommy. Give me a call when you get this message. Bye-bye.